confuse it with my cotton. Daf tezvav and basic.
Yeah.
We last 2 weeks we discussed the story. Said one of the most famous stories in the Gemara that 4 people entered the palace, an orchard, spiritual orchard, and one died. One gazed upon something and died. One became crazy. One went off the derech and started going against the Eibush openly. And the Bekiva went in and went out in peace. And the Gemara is still in the middle of discussing each one of them, who they were and what they did. So we started with Ben Zayim telling us what kind of big chassid he was, big Talmud Chacham it was, and he lost everything. Then we went over to, we didn't discuss Ben Azeh because Ben Azeh passed away right away. Then we went over to Acha, Elisha ben Avuya, and discussed his case, what happened. And we, last week we said, the Gemara here in our Gemara Babli said that the reason why he went off the way because he saw a malach that his name is Matatan, and Matatan, the Gemara says, is Shmoy Kashem Rabbi, that his name is like that, his master's name is the Eibush's name, and he saw him sitting, and he says, we know that there's no sitting, there's no tiredness, there's no competition in Shemayim. How come I see him sitting? It must be Chaz Shalom. There are 2 entities in the Mila. There's two creators, and then they took out Matatan, they punished him for it, and then he took away all the schusim, and they said Achad cannot make tshuva, and he came down and says, if I can make tshuva, I'm going to do whatever I want. And he went and he did aznus, etc. So that was the story. He passed away. We also had a Tosfos that discussed a few more things that happened to him as a child. Eventually he passed away, and we had the two Tanoim discussing what will happen after he passed away. The Meir said he will take him he will make sure that he gets into Gehenna so he can get punished for his deeds and eventually go into Gan Eden. And Rabbi Yochanan was the one that went even further and said, I'm going to take him out of Gehenna and put him into the right place. But now we're talking about after he passed away. So this is about 8 lines from the middle wide lines. That's the Zvavam and base. The Gemara says, Bita shel Achel. The daughter, so 8 lines from the middle lines. Bita shel Achel, the daughter of Achel came Asila Kamei the Rebbe, she came in front of Rebbe. Amalei, she told Rebbe, Panaseni, sustain me, give me panasa, give me food. Amala, so Rebbe doesn't know who this woman is. And if he has to find out, is she someone that of better status? Is she someone that she was wealthy once, and then if someone was wealthy in the past, then you have to give a different kind of tzedakah. You have to support him much more to try to fit as much of his needs that he used to have. So he inquired, who are you? Amar bas miat, who is your father? Who are you? What's your yichus? Amaloi, she said, Bita shel Achel. I'm the daughter of Achel, that's my yichus. I'm the daughter of Achel. Amalo. By the way, there's a discussion here. Did she say that I'm the daughter of Achel? Did she call her father Achel? Or the Gemara changes. She said, I'm the daughter of Elisha ben Avuya. And the Gemara changed it because we don't want to mention his name. So Amala, he told her, Adain yesh mizari bo'elam, is there any offspring still left in the world of Achel? V'ksiv, it says in the Apostle, Loi nin loi v'lenechet ba'amoy, he shouldn't have a great-grandchild, nor a grandchild. V'ein tzad b'megulav, there shouldn't be any survivors within his, no survivors should be around. So I don't understand why you're still doing here. I'm not going to help you out. Amaloi, she told him, Nebi, remember the Torah that you learned and help me out in the schus of the Torah that I learned. Don't look at my yichas. Don't look where I'm coming from. Don't look what I did in Neville. Look at my yichas. And don't remember his deeds. Just remember his Torah. Yad yad eish milamayla, as a fire right away came down. Min hashamayim. V'sichsachak safsle sherebi, and it singed the guy, burned a little bit the chair, the chair or bench that the Rebbe was sitting on. So why? Because it says the schus of the Torah. The Torah is nimshal eish. Torah is like fire. That's what came down. So Rebbe cried, V'ama Uma lemizganin b'toilakach. Imagine someone like Acher that looked down, once he went off the way, he looked down on the Torah, but he still learned Torah, and the Eibishter made such a nest that the fire would come down with Shemayim to show who he was in Torah, and therefore I should feed his daughter. Someone who does learn Torah and praises Torah and lives by the Torah, for sure there should be much more reward coming for someone like that. Okay. So the Gemara continues. We said that the Meir was the Acher's Talmud, and he learned from him. And the question the Gemara is going to ask: how is that possible? How can someone like a Meir, which was a tzaddik, how can anyone learn from someone that's not a tzaddik, someone that's not following the Torah, someone that goes against the Torah? How was he able to learn Torah from the mouth of Acher? Rabbi said, what is it that it said? We had this Gemara in Moed Katan. The lips of a kohen are the ones that are upkeeping the wisdom. And you should learn Torah from them. Because in general, Kehanim were the ones that used to teach the Torah to the nation, and the pasuk tells them that look upon the Kohen and learn Torah from him. Ki malach Hashem tzavakas, because he's a malach of the Eibishter. What does that mean? What does it say in Moed Katan? And he brings it down here. Im doim halav the malach Hashem tzavakas. If the teacher looks like a malach Hashem tzavakas, if he's likened to a malach, he's a tzaddik. Such a person, yes, learn Torah from him. But if that's not the case, do not learn Torah from such a person. So now the Meir, how was he able to learn Torah from Acher if Acher was not someone likened to an angel? He was not holy. He was not a tzaddik. Shlokish answered the Meir found a different pasuk, and he learned from this pasuk. What does the pasuk say? Hat oznecha oshma. Put your ear towards whatever was there. Ushma, and listen, meaning learn Torah. Ushma, what did you listen to? Divecham, the words of the Chacham. V'libcha toshes ledaiti. But your heart you bring to my wisdom, meaning what do I want to do? What does the pasuk mean? That yes, Torah learning, listen to any Chacham, even if it's a Chacham not tzaddikim, you can listen to the Torah. But to the inside, your midas, how you're going to act and react to whatever you're learning, libcha pashes like that. Go according to my opinion, to the Eibishter. The daitom loinema, doesn't the pasuk say that make your heart follow the daitom to the words or whatever the Chacham are teaching you, even though they're not tzaddikim. It says le daiti, meaning you can learn Torah from them, but don't let your heart follow what they're telling you to do. It says it. So that's one pasuk that says that Meir learned, that he was able to learn from Acher. Now B'chanina says one different pasuk. Shma shimi bas, listen daughter, olei, and see. V'ati ozneich, and again put your ear forwards. V'shichich amich u'beis avich, but forget your past. So shimi bas olei v'ati ozneich, again put your ear forward. Listen, it says Shema b'ni musal avicha v'al titesh Torah semecha. The Torah is called a bas many times. So basically telling you, when it comes to Torah learning, listen from anyone that knows how to teach Torah, even someone that's not worthy, it's not a tzaddik. But v'shichram beis avich, forget his surrounding, forget the person who he is. So basically, the Meir said, I can forget who Acher is, but still learn Torah from him.
Is that the way the halacha is? I don't think that.
1 second, we're going to discuss that in a moment. Very good question, because it's an interesting thing. So we have one pasuk that says that you cannot learn from a person that's not like a malach Hashem tzavakas, like an angel. So if he's not a tzaddik, you cannot learn from him. Then we have 2 psukim that say that even if he's not a tzaddik, he could learn. So the psukim don't work out. What's going on here? Everything well, a big person, someone that will go on his own and follow his own ways. So even if he learns from a not such a good person, that's fine. So the pasuk that says that the other two psukim that say that he can learn from someone that's not worthy, that's talking about a gadol, Adam gadol, a person that is not going to stray. He knows his way is not going to stray. Habekatan, the other pasuk says, Kasif Zakoin is talking about someone that's not fully set on his feet. And we are worried that if he sits and learns from a guy that's not worthy, he might follow as well. So, Avdimi came, Omar, he said, Beloved said in Maidav, and that's all, a male went, he found a date. Yeah, he said, the Abu Ghasamach adds that he found a date. Ochal tachalo, he ate the outer piece of the dates he cannot peel. Right? There's nothing to peel by the date. He opened it up, he ate the outer piece, and the inside, the pit, he threw out he threw out the pit. Why? Because basically, he says, what he is inside, I don't care. Throw him out. But the outside, the Torah that he learned, that I can eat. That's what the Abdimi said. So we have two psukim, and one thing that he likens acha to a date that the inside is rotten and you throw it out, but the outside you can eat. Rava said, what is it? It says, Ginas egois. I went down to a garden that has egois, that has nuts. Liwas ba'avi anachal, to see the river. Lama nimshal to dimshal to midcham the egois. Why tell me the cham like an egois, like a walnut? Laimalach, to tell you my egois there. Afa b'shemaluchlach betit. Even if this walnut, while it's still in its shell, it falls into garbage. It falls into mud, or betzoya, or into feces. What's inside does not become bad because you can just wash it off. And again, the outer shell. Now here it's different than a date. In a date, he says we take the outside we eat, the inside we throw out. By egos, by a nut, it's the opposite. The outer shell you throw out, the inside is good. Why? Because again, the same thing. Even though he went bad, and to us in the message, the inside is still good, and the outside is not really taking away from the inside. So there's two different things. Either we don't look at the inside of the dasha, or we don't look at the outside of the dasha.
But if the Torah is 100% by him, then it wouldn't he be on the derech still?
So the learning, it was like the Yevanim. You could say it's like the Yevanim. It was the wisdom is there, but not the noise. Not the
wisdom without being on the right derech, without leading a person the right way. What's the
what?
With the wisdom without him leading on the right way, what's the point? That's
So can you basically going back to the same thing? Can you actually learn from someone? If he's not a person that you should learn from, if there's a discussion that you should learn from such a person, then why even learn from him? So first of all, Elisha ben Avi Acham was an awesome Talmud Chacham. We said last time that when he opened up his mouth, he was such a huge Talmud Chacham that everyone got quiet because the wisdom that came out of him, the words that came out of him, they just took everyone over. There was no one like him in that generation that was that smart, that knew so many limudim, so many things in Torah. So therefore, in a way, the Meir wanted to take out anything he was able to draw out of Acha, anything he was able to take and then pass on to later generations, which it shouldn't get lost just because he went off the way. But the question really is, can you learn from someone like that? So we're going to learn just one more line, and we're going to discuss this. By the dot. Ashkeche Rabba Bashila Lelio. Da Bashila met Lelio. Amalei, he said, what is the Eibusha doing now? Amalei, he said, he was repeating halachas that the Rabbanan down here were saying. He would not repeat anything that the Meir said. Amalei Amai. Why isn't the Eibusha repeating the words of the Meir? Because he learned halachas from the mouth of Achan. Amalei Amai. Why can't the Eibusha say the words of the Meir? The Meir is like a limon, it's like a pomegranate. In Matzah, he found that the Meir considered Achal like a limon. He found the limon, the inside he ate. Klipasa is like again the outside he threw out. Amalei Eliyahu Navi told Rav Ashilas, Hashted at this moment, right now, after he said these words, Ka'ama, the Eibishter is saying, Mei beni kachoyma. Mei beni says as such. What is he saying? Bizman, he repeated a Mishnah. There's a Mishnah that says that when you, there's a halacha that says when you kill someone, when someone is chayav misa, any of the 4 types of misa, that eventually you also have to hang him. Even if for a short period of time, it says you have to hang him. And then it says, at night you have to remove him right away from the gallows. Because the curse of the Eibishter it's a curse of the Eibishter that's hanging. So the mayor says that kilalas is made out of 2 words. Kal, lace. Kal means easy, lace means not, negative. It's not easy. Kilalas means it's not easy for Hashem. What does the mayor say? He says, Bizman she'odem it's missing over here words. Bizman, it's missing some words in here. It basically, when a person gets punished for the Avedas that he did, Bizman Shalom Mitzvah, because of the punishment of the Avedas that he did, Shechina Ma'aloshna Meles, what is the Shechina saying? The Shechina is saying, Kalani Meloishi, it's heavy, it's not easy for my head to hold it up. Kalani Mezoy, it's not easy for my hands to hold up. And he basically, he continued saying, but basically what is he saying? The mayor said that the Eibishter sees a person that is oivel on Avedas and he has to get punished, even though he gets punished, but Kilasekim, it's not easy for the Eibishter. And where is it not easy? It's not easy for the Eibishter's head. Kaviyachon, it's not easy for the Eibishter's hand. Im kacha kodesh baruch hu mitztal damon shel shoyim. If the Eibishter worries so much and is in pain by a rasha that gets killed, kal v'choyim al damon shel tzaddikim shnishbach. The Eibishter is mitztayir. He is in pain on tzaddikim's blood that is spilled. And this Shiur was actually wrote that Shiur was Lil Nishmas of Tzvi ben Alexander Hashem Yikum Damam, the shliach that was just killed. Damoy. Okay, so 1 second before we go back to the question about learning from a apikoides. Why is the head of the Eibishter heavy and why is the hand of the Eibishter heavy? So we know it says in the Maimah that was said by the Bar Mitzvah that the Yidden have tefillin and the Eibishter wears tefillin. In our tefillin it says the Shvachim, praise of Hashem. In the Eibishter's tefillin, when we put on tefillin, the Eibishter puts on tefillin. In the Eibishter's tefillin it says the Shvachim of the Yidden. And basically, where do you put on the tefillin? On the head, and on the head and the arm. If a Yid doesn't do what he's supposed to do and he gets punished, the Eibishter says, look, in my tefillin it says your Shvachim, your praises. And look what's happening to you. So the Eibishter says, it's very heavy, difficult for me to wear the tefillin that it says the praises of the Yidden while a Yid is getting punished for the misdeeds for his Avedas. So that's a side note. Going back to the question, can you learn from someone that's not worthy? So there's a small aleph when it speaks about the pasuk Sifsei Koyin. That aleph turns you to the Rambam, Perek Daled Hilchos Talmud Chacham, Perek Daled Hilchos Torah, Halacha Aleph, and the Tur Shulchan Aruch, which is later on the Shulchan Aruch itself, the Tur that it leads you to there. What does it say in the Rambam? And Rambam says very clearly, without any differentiation, the Rambam says clearly over there that unless he's a worthy person, do not learn Torah from him. I'm done. The Tur Shulchan Aruch says the same thing. I still have the link I sent you. I'm supposed to print out something I left in the office. So I should share that one. The Tur Shulchan Aruch brings the same thing, and it says you're not allowed to learn from someone that's not worthy, that's not a tzaddik. The Shach, which is a meforshim, someone that came later and explained on the Tur, he says he brings a question. In our Gemara, the Gemara differentiated between Adam Gadol and Adam Katan. If someone is a person that is, put on his path, he's standing, he's an Adam Gadol, he's someone that can learn and be on his own. Such a person, you can learn from anyone. That's what that was the mayor. And Adam Katan, someone that's not in that position yet, in that place yet. Such a person cannot learn. So the Shach asks on the Tur, which is basically based on the Rambam, how do you say the halacha just simply like that you can't learn? Isn't there a difference between an Adam Gadol and Adam Katan? Adam Gadol, yes, he could learn, and Adam Cotton cannot learn. So they turn their answer to what Tosfos writes here. Tosfos writes here that there was a Gemara we learned in Moed Cotton last year. We learned in Moed Cotton. It says that we found there was a certain Talmid Chacham that had bad rumors going about him. And what did Rabbi Yehuda do? He put him into Chedem. No one can learn from him now. And he's like, how can you put someone in Chedem that teaches Torah? But that's what it was. He put him in Chedem. So the Tosfos is asking here. We see that the Yehuda put someone in Chedem, someone that was the best teacher in town. He put him in Chedem, even though that the Gedolim could learn. Gedolim could learn from him. So the answer Tosfos gives that the problem is here that Ketanim, people that were not on that status of a Gadol, were also learning by him, and we were worried about them. Therefore, the Yehuda put him into Chedem, Chaz Shalom, that the Ketanim should learn from him and get inspired by his Avedas and copy him. So the Shach basically explains accordingly that the truth is today there's no Gadol. There's no one that's considered someone that's in the status of a maid as a Gadol. Today everyone is considered a Katan. And therefore, the Rambam, the Tush Nalach, when they speak about halacha, everyone says today we're considered Katanim, and because of that, no one is allowed to learn. And that's what the Rambam paskins and Shach paskins this way. But people, there's some other meforshim that are questioning this because the Rambam himself, he learned philosophy from because of Mamish. He learned. He knew all the books. In the beginning of the Ma'il Nevuchim, he's answering to his Talmud that he's asking questions. He says he was discussing a Arab philosopher. I forgot his name, but Rambam writes that I'm going to explain you his shitta, which means Rambam had to learn it. He had to study it.
Yeah, but he knew it wasn't Torah. He's talking about learning Torah from the Yid. Mm-hmm. He's learning the Geish's thing, and he knows how to.
You don't learn anything from what's it called. But it's a good point. It's a good point that he wasn't learning, but he learned. But that was actually.
It's like learning secular subject and using it for Kedush, like the Alter Rebbe
writes. Right. But here he was learning philosophy. Philosophy is a little bit different than learning just medicine or things like that. So basically, but the idea is it's not number one. Number two, the Rambam knew these halachas. They knew where to hold himself back. But basically, the idea is that today we're not learn from someone like that because we are not considered in the status of a gadol to be able to hold ourselves back, and therefore we shouldn't learn from someone.
It's like if the Abikaris writes to Sefer Torah, he's not how to use it. You have to bury it.
Correct.
It's not even learning. He's just using it.
Yeah.
People like learn, but what is that? What would that be today? People like learning things.
Things what?
People learn like
Torah?
no, like
Aristotle, can we
philosophy? Who's learning that? Who reads
psychology, whatever, all these things.
Philosophy.
So you have to. The truth is, a lot of these things you should discuss it with a love before you do that. Whether you're allowed to learn or not. They're not on the bottom.
Does it only apply? Does it only apply to Torah learning and not action?
What?
Does it only apply to Torah learning and not action? Because I was just thinking we have a Hayom where we learn something from a Ganef.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
That's a famous thing.
The idea is that I don't know. I don't know.
Baal Shem Tov says you should learn. Everything is a Ryan with Hashem.
Yeah, but that you learn it from a negative.
Doesn't mean you need to go everywhere.
But
Doesn't mean you need to go everywhere to get everybody's information.
Negative thing.
If you see it,
So I saw that they pointed to an Orach Chaim in Dvarim. The Orach Chaim writes, he brings down this whole Gemara, a discussion between a gadol and a cotton. And one of the questions he asked, an interesting point he points out. So the Eibishter was sitting, the Yonavi told us that the Eibishter is sitting discussing the learning of all the Talmidei Chacham, and he's not mentioning a male. Rav Mashiach comes and tells Yonavi, oh, there's a pomegranate. A man likened Acha to a pomegranate that he ate the pit, the current, the what's it called? And he did not, and the seeds, and he threw out the cover, the surrounding. And then Eliyah said, "Oh, 1 second. Oh, the Eibush is now talking about the mayor, and it says what the mayor is saying."
It's funny that he picked the pomegranate. The Shayim is Malay Mitzvah's Karimah.
Yeah, so there is, and it's not only that. It's interesting that he's picking what things is the Eibush now repeating from mayor. about the Shoim and Tzaddikim, and about dying and being punished. Kind of maybe this was an aliyah for Achar, in a way this was maybe, I don't know, this is maybe an aliyah for Achar. So basically, the question really is, so what, the Eibusha doesn't know about the pomegranate? Eibusha knows everything. The Eibusha doesn't know about the pomegranate. The Eibusha had to wait for the Bashil to tell us about the pomegranate to now listen to the Meir. So this, between the things that he discusses is this concept. It's a longer Chaim, as usual. He has always long stuff and interesting stuff to say. But in short, so first he brings also that Tosfos, that question about the Shach, and the answer that the question about the Shach says that why isn't the Rambam differentiating between the God and the cont, and brings Tosfos. And if you would say, what's the Eibusha thing in the beginning? Basically, did the Eibusha know about Rabba Shilos? You can't say the Eibusha did not know this whole thing with the pomegranate that Rabba Shilos told us, that the Meir Ibn Matzah, Da ki yakpid Hashem al ha'odem b'asois davar shlo yiboinoki. He goes on and says that basically, he goes on and says that, one second, it wasn't him that said it, but basically that the Eibishter many times waits for psak din down here, and then the Eibishter follows what's down here. The Eibishter waited for the Abba Shilos to give us that psak din, that now that this is good, now we can go back. There's another one that says that
somebody's waiting for an opening.
Yes.
Now that you mention it, let's now discuss this.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting because when the Rebbe said the Sikha of Miriam Bas Bilga, the Misnagid wrote in, how dare you do a meliciation on Miriam Bas Bilga. And the Rebbe said, there's a story without the Rebbe, that the Alter Rebbe was matzdik on somebody that killed, I think, Zechariah Navi. And had Tzedakah, and so the Alter Rebbe already did it. But Locher over here also, you see this concept.
They took out, they were elevating Achal. The Meir's mission, as we saw last week, was to try to get Achal to do tshuva. And eventually, his learning, I guess, with the Eibush mentioning, maybe this was an elevation for him. But that's the story. Now, what's the story with the pomegranate and the date? We said that the date, you eat the outside, and the inside you throw out. So the inside is bad. The pomegranate is the opposite. So we're actually, in the story, we see there were two different timings in Achal's life. In the beginning, he had thoughts, and the Gemara later is going to say he wasn't fully involved. He had bad thoughts. He had. They also say last week we learned places that his father wasn't Lishma, his upbringing wasn't good. He had rotten. He went into the palace with rotten thoughts. He went into the palace not with the holy thoughts. So Achal himself, the inside was at the time was bad, but his outside he was still. He came to that Zaina and he said, "Come and be with me." And she said, "Oh, aren't you the big tzaddik Lishman?" Because the outside at that time looked good. The date also, the outside you can eat. The outside was a tzitkas. The inside by him was rotten. So in the beginning, the Meir says that in the beginning I liked him like a date. That I didn't look at his inside. I didn't look what his heart was going through. I only looked at the Torah, the outside. Later on, when he was openly doing Avedas, when he was with the Zayin, then he did Aveda on Shabbos and ripped out radishes from the ground. Now the outside is bad, so now he's like a limoin, where the inside is a Torah and the outside is the bad stuff. So that's what the Mashal is saying. But the Gemara says vital. The Gemara continues, it's not done, he's just veering off a little bit. Ashkech Shmuel of Yehuda. Shmuel found, we're almost at the widest lines in the bottom. Ashkech on Shmuel of Yehuda, Tali, Be'iva the Dashi. He was by the doorstep, and he was leaning on the door. Bekabach, and he cried. Amale Shmuel turned to his Talmud and told him, Shinana, sharp one. And my kabach is why are you crying? Amale told him, Mizuta is it little or is it nothing? My dechsiv bu what it says about the Chacham. What does it say? It says a pasuk in Mishlei. Yeah? In Shayah. Ayeh Seifel, where is a Seifel? Ayeh Sheikel, where are the people that could measure Ayeh Seifel and Migdalim? Where's the Seifel, the one that counts the Migdalim, the towers? What is this pshat? Ayeh Seifel, where are the Safin, the one that counts? Shoy Seifim called Oisher B'Tayah, the ones that count the Oisher B'Tayah going on the Chacham. So what's amazing about counting the Oisias, the letters of the Torah? because it's about the many words in the Torah. Many words in the Torah sometimes have a vav, sometimes don't have a vav, which is called chasa v'yata. That's the ones that are redundant or there's extra. So the Talmid Chacham, they knew which words have to have a vav and which not. And now I know the count of the oisius. And this was it was a big chachma. And he basically decries, look, there are people that know how to count oisius and what happened to them at the end. Ayas, that's ayas soiva. Ayas shoikel, we're the ones that are weighing, that are measuring. Shoikling, kal v'chamun shabbatayla. They were measuring the mitzvahs and the avedas, which one is a kal, which one is an easy one, and which one is a chaman, which one is a more harsh, strict one. Because based on that, we can learn halachas, a kal v'chayman. Just like the kal has this and this halacha, so for sure the chayman, the more strict halacha, has this and this, learning. To tell us what's kal and what's chaman, it was not easy. That you have to have a Talmud Chacham. And the Talmud Chacham, they knew these kind of things. They knew how to count the vav, they knew how to count the letters in the Torah, and they knew how to decide what's a kal and what's a chaman. Those are missing. Why? Because they went off the way at the end. Ayah Surface and Migdalim, we're the ones that can count towers. What's Pshat? Shoinin, they would learn Shloish Meyas halachas, 300 halachas, B'migdal haperech ba'avid, from a tower that was flying in the air. What kind of tower flew in the air in the times of Shmuel and Shmuel and Avidah? So there's 5 or 6 actually different explanation. What is this tower that flies? Rashi brings down 2. Rashi says, I made a copy, but I have to print it out. In Ksav Ashus, in the way the Torah is written, there's a lamed. That lamed is technically, I wanted to call you brother, find out they speak a cipher, maybe get more insight on this, but the lamed technically, the way that they describe it, is made out of a chaf and a tower on top, which is a vav or a zayin, I don't know what the different shittas. So it's a chaf and a tower, it looks like a tower standing on top of the chaf, which is makes now the lamed. Chaf and a tower lamed. So this lamed has to be leaning a little to the side. It's not straight up. It's like a very tiny bit. It's a little bit more. In this lamed itself, Y and the tag on top, this little vav on top of the chav, that itself had so many halachas, 300, which some people say 300. Sometimes the Gemara says 300. It's not meant literally 300, but many halachas. But had so many halachas, and there were such Talmid Chacham, and today, where are they? They went off the way. So that's one pshat, the migdal be'avin. So the migdal is the vav that floats on top of the chav of the lam. That's one thing. The other thing Rashi says, a simple thing, talking about the migdal, the tower that the goyim, the nations built before everyone is spread out. The what is it called in English?
Babel.
Yeah, Tower of Babel. Of Babel, whatever. So the Migdal Babel. Why? Because the Migdal Babel, in theory, brought on many halachas. I don't know what it was that Rashi doesn't discuss, but there were 300 halachas that discussed about the Tower of Babel. The third pshat Rashi brings is the Migdal is really a box, a casket that sits on the door, and half of the casket is outside the door, half is inside the building by the doorstep, and half of it is out. And now we have many halachas that you can learn from this about the tumah and tahala, about becoming tummy, etc. What is considered oil and what's not. So there's 300 halachas about that. So that's 3 pshatim that Rashi brings. There are a few more that says one of them is about Migdal Perech Ba'avet is, he is not here, Medical. There's a discussion whether a kohen, you're not a kohen, right?
I'm not.
No. There's a discussion whether a kohen is allowed, we have a kohen here. Is a kohen allowed to fly in a plane over a cemetery? He's allowed to. So there's a discussion about it.
They used to have a thing, they cover them in a bag or something.
No, I'm not talking about, some people.
No joke.
Yeah, there's a picture.
They go with bags. There are pictures of it. They put
There
their bags
was
in
a picture.
Good luck
Because
explaining
they're
that.
different. They go inside the oil. They have special bags.
Does the plane
They're
not
allowed to
count
give out
on the plane?
these translucent, these
So whoever did that is
Yes.
really an idiot because the plane itself is
Right.
closed. The plane,
Okay, but-
yeah, because a different question. If you fly
No,
along,
maybe it's on the plane there was something.
yeah,
There was
if you
something.
fly
They
along,
had the dead bodies.
I just looked it up. It says 65% of allowed flights have a casket in the luggage compartment.
Yeah, but-
You never
No,
see them put that
No,
in,
but it's
right?
all covered up.
That's it, I'm sure there's more, no? Why?
65, and it basically said so. You should find out in advance.
That's what they
And I'm
do.
thinking to myself, like, I'm booking my ticket 3 weeks before the flight. I was like, okay, anyone dying in 3 weeks? If it's not, how am I finding out? I've gone out of coins, so it doesn't make a difference to me. But how can I find in advance? So it actually was a discussion. At some point, I guess Alal rerouted its route and it went over Chulon, which is close to Lud, over a cemetery there. So again, I was talking about, can a plane go over? And Rabbi Vadia said at that time, or was it someone else, I don't remember, wrote very clearly that it's not a problem. A plane is sealed. It's literally sealed shut from all sides. It's considered a Shida Tevel Migdal, literally a basket that's surrounded from all sides, and therefore it doesn't become an oil, and you can fly over.
Does the height not
No.
create any, like there's
No.
nothing with
But it
distance?
says that they should make sure not to fly. Yeah,
Was flying like a Mikdash.
they should not fly over the Beis Hamikdash, even in a plane, because
Yeah.
this is already, that's a different, it's not Tum and Ta, that's a different Kedusha, that doesn't make a difference whether it's oil or not. But in any case,
Now, what about the thing of the mace inside the plane?
so they also said that the compartment of the luggage, first of all, they do it differently, and it's also sealed. And I think they were explaining that they even built that compartment as they built the fuselage in like two different things. So one is the passenger place, and a separate one attached. It's a whole different compartment. So it's also sealed by
The
itself.
actual thing is in a fiberglass. You see when it comes out. It's not just a
Yeah, it's sealed. They should
sealed
not.
up with 100 seals because they want to make sure it's the right guy or whatever it is. They have people got mixed up. But
Whoops.
we'll give you a plastic bag. Don't worry. The whole flight.
I'm not a coin on
We need to
Yeah.
eat. They open it up. The whole thing.
So basically, one explains what's migdal ge'aven. A shida teva migdal, a simple thing, a box. If a box goes on a cow or travels or whatever, that it says the Gemara brings over there that if someone travels to Chutz La'aretz, in general Chutz La'aretz is always considered Tumah. We don't know where in Chutz La'aretz there could be a keva. We don't know where the mass graves. So everywhere in Chutz La'aretz is a kohen should be careful to travel.
Why is it like that?
What?
Why is it like that if the Roiv are going?
Because we don't know.
And only Yidden are...
I didn't want to.
Most places go by the Roiv, no?
That's what the Gemara says, but the Gemara says Rebbe says there's nothing to go.
One chapter.
There's nothing you can't do anything. And the Acha is though you can go in a box and then everything is lovely fine. So that's a migdal al, but it's right. Why the love goyim? Because maybe there's a yid, and if there's one yid, your whole you're gonna have a problem. I'm coming from Vienna now. There's a street next to my house that the Kahanim know the street. They have a Kabbalah. This street they don't walk through. There's nothing there. There's a marketplace there. They know they have a Kabbalah that in this street they don't walk through because they know something. There was a cemetery there at some point. They dug everything up. Doesn't make a difference. They don't walk through that street. The fourth one is another pshat. The fifth pshat is that a literal tower flying in the air. The Chachamim had to find out the hilchos of kishuf. Basically, if someone uses black magic to do something, the punishments, etc. So they had the ability to send a tower suspended in the air with kishuf in order to then discuss the halachas around it. And so basically, that's one thing that they bring. And another one, the Mashal says in a different Gemara, that the Migdal Pelech Ba'avil was in a time of. You'll see soon that this whole thing is talking about Achitophel and Doeg. Doeg was the advisor of Shaul Melech, and Achitophel was the advisor of David Melech. At that time, the Beis Hamikdash wasn't built yet. So the Beis Hamikdash was called a tower that's floating in the air because they weren't sure yet where it's going to build and what it's going to be. So the Doeg and Achitophel were able to discuss 300 halachas about the Beis Hamikdash even before it was built, and it was called Migdal Pelech Ba'avil. Okay, so but basically. The Yehuda is telling Shmuel, he's crying about these huge Talmidei Chacham. They were so smart. They know how to count the oisis. They know how to measure what's a kal v'chomer built in order to make a kal v'chomer. They know how 300 halachas about whatever that migdal is that's flying. The Gemara continues. They asked 300 questions about this migdal. Not only did they learn 300 lachas, they had 300 questions that no one could answer. And then we learned in Cheleg, in the beginning of Cheleg, 3 kings of the Yidden and 4 simpletons do not, 5 lines on the bottom, do not have Cheleg Lava. Who are the 5 Hedyoites? Doyek, Achatoifel, Gechazi, and what was it? An Achel maybe. Yeah. So basically saying Doeg and Achatoifel were such smart people. They learned so much Torah, way smarter than
Bilam, Doeg, Achatoifel.
Bilam. Bilam was what's it called. So they learned so much Torah. They were so much smarter than us, and they failed. They couldn't get saved by the Torah. The Torah didn't save them. The Torah didn't keep them from going bad. What are we going to say? Anan Matehevelan. What are we that are much less learned than Doeg and Achatoifel? What are we? How are we going to get saved? Amalei. So Shmuel told him, calm down. Shin, a sharp one. Tina hoisa belibam. They already had rotten thoughts. They had rotten thoughts in the mind from they were very young. Not like someone. Don't worry about you and all the other Talmid that are pure and are learning. If something happens, you'll make tshuva. They were rotten from the beginning. What was with Achel? Achel Mai. So it says Zema Yevoni lePasak Mipumei. Greek songs he didn't stop singing Greek songs. The problem with Greek songs was that not only was it Goyish songs, and not only was it after the Chul Mesamigdash, where it says at that time that no one was allowed to sing, that they Pashat weren't allowed to sing, but it was songs that were the opposite. It was kfila, it was Pashat. It was Goyish music that was full of kfila. So his yichas didn't help him, and his daughter. And the Goyish music didn't help his daughter, but the Torah eventually helped his daughter. That his daughter got money. But in here,
this is your message.
This is my message.
Man,
don't rely on yichas. Don't rely on and don't do this. No, your Torah is the only thing that's going to count. Eventually, is the Torah. But in any case, Achel, what was rotten about him? That he constantly would sing Greek songs. Amulav, the also said, he would sit down, he would go to shul, and when he went to shul, he would hide all his goysha sfarim, his sifrei minus, his apikosh sfarim. But when he would get so heated in the learning that he would get up to go home, he didn't realize, and his pockets, everything fell out. A lot of these sfarim of apikolis would fall off his lap. And therefore we know that even as he was learning Torah, he was already involved in bad stuff. So it's not like he's someone that is learning Torah out of purity, but he was already involved with not good things. Sagt die Gemara weiter. Shoal Nimus Agardi. Nimus Agardi was a philosopher. He asked the mayor.
So what's the difference between, let's say, a little bit far out, what's the difference between him and the Rambam? When the Rambam had to learn these things in order to basically uphold the Jewish thoughts against the other nations.
But the Bukhim.
Whatever, didn't he have to go like court cases and fight like against the
No, so they said already before. The Alter Rebbe says what? That there's a certain thing that you could. First of all, it says that they used to learn it only in the bathroom. I saw somewhere that they used to learn all these things only in the bathroom. But yeah, it's a discussion by itself. I don't know the answer fully right now, but it's not so simple. It's not so simple. Today's day and age.
The Rebbe instructed on the Shushachat to learn a lot of inyanim,
The
Christianity, so he can know. What
but not
answer.
everyone. Other people asked the Rebbe to learn,
The Rebbe.
and they said no. It wasn't made. It wasn't made. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I was going to tell you that one of the things I wrote, which I'm not sure was, again, maybe a lot of offending things I wrote today. Why can a non-Chabad be a shliach? And here's a story that I know. My father. Why can't they be a shluchim? Commenting on a shluchim now. The answer is really the answer is not true. You could be a shliach. Anyone could be a shliach. Never said all these shluchim. Everyone is a shliach. But there was my father was a shochet. My father was shechting for the Kehillah in Vienna for many years. twice, 3 times a week. In his free time, many times he freelanced shluchim from all over the place. I remember him going to when it was still the Iron Curtain. I was a mamish child and a little child, but I remember him going into Ukraine. They smuggled him into Ukraine to close they bribed the conductor, locked the door. My father went to Ukraine, shechted, locked the door on the way back on the train, and when it came out, it was in shechted, in Ukraine. He shechted in Prague, he shechted in many different places. One of the places he shechted was Prague. At one time we went to visit Prague and we met someone there. My father was talking, greeting him, saying, we asked my father, who is this guy? So it says, you have to understand, this guy was one of the smartest bachrim in Mir. One of the smartest geoinim in, I believe it was Mir, it was one of the Koltoida, one of these big yeshivas. And when the Iron Curtain fell, they said we have to send our represented also to the beginning of the Iron Curtain was Prague, was one of the first cities to represent and build Yiddishkeit there, etc., etc. Eventually, the city of Prague consumed him, and he dropped everything. So you have to be careful when and how. You have to know the Torah, who is the Noisen Torah. The Eibishter gave us the Torah. We should learn because the Eibishter gave it to us, not just because it's a wisdom or something like that. When it comes to any of the Sfarim Chetzonim, you have to be very careful. You have to be careful what you get involved with. You never are allowed to get involved with on your own. You always have to get with guidance of someone, a spiritual guide, someone that can guide you spiritually, tell you this is good for you to do, this is not, or where are you holding now. If you're strong in your own beliefs, then you can look further for a purpose, not stamazai. But I guess that was the story there.
So Acha wasn't going for a purpose.
No.
It just seems he was just enjoying it. That's the difference in the Rambam.
Yeah.
That's a key difference.
Few minutes. Shalni Musagadi, it was a philosopher, in a philosophical question, in a parable. Kol Amma, the Nachis Lioya Salik, all the wool that is being put down in a pot to dye it, add color to it, Salik, did it come out completely dyed? Amalei, so you answered him in the same vein, Kol Man Dav and Noki Agav Ime, any type of wool that was pure when it was attached to its mother, meaning it's attached to the animal, so it goes out. Called the loy avimei. Whoever was not pure from the get-go, from the beginning, loy salik. What's this parable? What's the question? What's the answer? Same as we asked now. There's 2 pshatim about this. Rashi brings 2 pshatim. He said, anyone anyone that learns Torah, one second. There's a call. No, there's a first Rashi, second Rashi. So it says, "Kol tzem shnit liyal shel samon mitzvah oil tzivah oil tzivah." Kloima, kol aloyim lefnei chachamim. Everyone that learns in front of chachamim, oil and teras and hagan aleim in achet. Does the Torah help them to keep them away from doing avedas or not? Is the Torah learning enough? So he answered him, only if from the beginning the way you go into learning Torah is that you have first, what does the Mishnah says in the Pekavos? That you have Yiras Chet first, your fear of the Eibishter first, and then you go to learn Torah. Then the learning Torah is proper. But if you're not, then not. So that's what he's saying. But the wool, if your wool is clean from the beginning, from the get-go, then the dye will settle, will be good. And the other Pshat Rashi is, if someone ends up in Gehenna, does the Torah help him to go out? Salik, does the Torah go out? So it says that also only goes out if everything is good from the get-go, if you have Yiras Shemayim. Tomorrow, next time we'll do Kiva.
Very nice.